I never believed in omens. Black cats, broken mirrors, Friday the 13th. None of that ever rattled me. But if I had known what that watch would come to mean, I might have wrapped it in velvet and tossed it into the nearest river like it was cursed. I gave it to her for our anniversary. A sleek rose gold timepiece, minimalist dial, clean band. Elegant, like she was. Or at least like I thought she was. Logan, it's beautiful, she said, pressing her palm to her chest, like the gift had actually reached something in there. I love it. She wore it everywhere. Out to dinner, grocery store runs, even to bed, once or twice, like she was afraid time might slip away from her if she let it go. Back then, I thought the gesture meant something. That giving her the watch symbolized how I was always thinking of her, even when she wasn't thinking of me. But hindsight's funny. It always shows up late, like that one friend who offers to help you move after you've already done the heavy lifting. And I had no idea then that the very thing I gave her to mark our time together, I'd end up seeing it on another man's wrist. But I'm getting ahead of myself. See, everything seemed fine on the surface. People asked how we were doing, and I'd smile, pat her hand, say something charming like, still surviving each other. And she'd laugh. Not too loud. Just the kind of laugh that tells the world, yes, we're good. Except, she stopped humming when she did the dishes. That was the first sign. She used to hum this off-key version of Fleetwood Mac's Everywhere, and I swear I'd have given anything to hear her butcher it again. Instead, there was silence. Clean, efficient, surgical silence. I'd come home from work, kiss her cheek, and she'd flinch like my lips were colder than they should have been. Then the late meetings started. Not the usual, I'm staying late texts, but the ones with ellipses. Might be late tonight. You know, the kind that implies something they don't want to say. Still, I didn't suspect. Not really. I mean, come on, I gave her a watch. How do you cheat on a man who gives you time? We weren't fighting. That's what made it hard to see. We weren't screaming, throwing plates, or sleeping on opposite sides of the bed like they do in the movies. No, real betrayal is quieter than that. It slips into your house wearing your wife's perfume and eats dinner at your table with a grin. Ashley. Yeah, that's her name. She'd still greet me at the door. Still ask me about my day. Still kiss my cheek when I passed her in the hallway, like we were extras in a toothpaste commercial. But it was her eyes that gave it away. She used to look at me like I was a puzzle she loved solving. Now, she looked through me, like she was doing math in her head, like she was weighing me. And coming up short, I started noticing little things. The same shirt showing up in the laundry that I didn't recognize. A whiff of cologne in our car that I knew damn well wasn't mine. One night, she came home late, claimed her team went out to celebrate a client deal. She tossed her purse on the kitchen counter and headed straight to the shower. Nothing too weird, right? Except the shower ran for 23 minutes. I know because I timed it. Why? Because she never used to wash off perfume to climb into bed with me. But now she always did. I started asking casual questions. You know, how's work? Anyone new on the team? What's that cologne? I'd sniff the air like a bloodhound pretending to be polite. Her answers were smooth. Polished. Practiced. Oh, probably from the rideshare driver. Works great. Just the usual. That? I think someone sprayed too much near the elevators. And every time she smiled while saying it. That kind of smile that tells you she's not even trying to hide it. Because in her mind, you'll never believe it anyway. It wasn't rage I felt. Not yet. It was suspicion's little cousin. The one that whispers, check the passenger seat. So I did. And what did I find? An empty bottle of Smart Water. Her favorite. Half finished. Lipstick on the rim. I hadn't been in that car for a week. And yet somehow, her ghost was everywhere. Except now, it wasn't just hers. It was his too. I just didn't know his name yet. But I would. Oh, I would if there's a particular kind of moment that doesn't belong to the clock. It belongs to you. Because after it happens, your life becomes a before and after photo. For me, that moment happened on a Thursday. I remember because I'd just gotten my hair cut. I'd finally caved and gone to Ashley's favorite place. The one she always said made me look too clean to be taken seriously. So I'm sitting in this overpriced downtown cafe, sipping a coffee I didn't really want, waiting for her to meet me for lunch. We hadn't done lunch in months. She texted me that morning, "Want to meet up? I miss you." Naturally, I was suspicious, but I also wanted to believe. So I got there 10 minutes early. I wanted to look relaxed, casual, like a man who still had something to hold on to. That's when I saw him. He walked out of the building across the street. Tall, tan, Like someone built in a lab by a marketing team that specializes in cheating wives. Hair gelled. Button-up shirt half untucked in that. I didn't try too hard, but I still look like a GQ ad kind of way. And on his wrist? The watch. Not a watch. My watch. The rose gold one. The one I spent 2 weeks researching. The one I'd wrapped in a little white box and handed to Ashley on our anniversary while she cried and told me I still made her feel chosen. It stared at me like a spotlight on a liar's stage. At first, I told myself, it can't be. Maybe it's the same model. Maybe she bought another one. Maybe. But then Ashley appeared. She walked up behind him, laughing like I hadn't seen her do in months. She reached up, brushed something off his shoulder, and kissed him on the cheek. And then he said, "You're late." She smirked and replied, "I brought coffee." No rush. No guilt. Just domestic. And I realized, in that moment, I wasn't watching a secret unfold. I was watching a routine. That watch wasn't a gift anymore. It was a relic. A stolen artifact, passed down like a trophy in some twisted little contest I didn't even know I was playing. They turned and walked away, arms brushing, his fingers grazing her back like he owned it. And me? I just sat there, staring at that watch. Time didn't stop. It just split. After I saw the watch on his wrist, I didn't follow them. Didn't yell. Didn't confront. I didn't even finish the coffee. I just sat there for a while, watching the door they disappeared into like it might spit them back out and say, "Just kidding. Wrong couple." But it didn't. And so, I stood up, tucked my chair in, like a civilized man, and walked to my car. The air felt different. Lighter. Like something inside me had finally stopped pretending. I wasn't hurt. Not in the way people expect. I wasn't crushed. I was awake. For the first time in months, my vision was clear. No fog. No guesswork. Just a quiet, focused certainty. I needed proof. And then I needed a plan. The first thing I did was simple. I made a list. Inventory of a marriage fictional edition. 1 wife. Name, Ashley. Occupation, smiling liar. 1 house. Half mine, fully paid for. 1 rose gold watch, now making guest appearances on her boyfriend's wrist. Countless hours of my life I'm never getting back. That night, she came home late. Said there was a client dinner that ran long. I asked her how it went. She said, "Fine." Kissed me on the cheek. Asked what I wanted to watch. Like nothing had happened. And I watched her. Not the TV. Her. The way she avoided eye contact. The way her laugh was just a hair too controlled. She was acting. But badly. And I'd stopped clapping for the show. While she scrolled on her phone with that little sly smile she thought I hadn't noticed, I was building an archive. Screenshots. Receipts. Location logs. Even old text backups from our shared Apple account. Turns out she'd never changed her settings. Rookie mistake. Within an hour, I had enough to write a novella titled, "My Wife and Her Walking Protein Shake, a Love Story." But here's the thing. I wasn't after a divorce. Not yet. No, I didn't want to just walk away with the scraps of my dignity and a couple of throw pillows. I wanted something else. See, betrayal is personal. But revenge? That's strategic. And if she was going to treat me like I was just some obstacle to get around, then I'd make damn sure she remembered what it was like to underestimate me. Next day, I started laying groundwork. I called in a few favors. Old college friend, works IT security at her firm. Slipped him a bottle of 18-year Macallan and asked for some hypothetical advice. He said, if this was happening, and I'm not saying it is, it wouldn't be hard to track internal emails. Especially if she's using the company's devices to message this guy. Then I talked to my lawyer. "Logan," he said, leaning back in his chair, "do you want a clean break? Or do you want to dance with the devil?" I smiled. Oh, I brought my dancing shoes. That weekend, she went wine tasting with the girls. Classic. Only this time, I already knew the vineyard. Knew the Airbnb. Knew the passcode she texted him. Wine and dine me, big guy. I waited until she was gone. Then I opened her closet. Now, I'm not the snooping type. Never have been. I always figured if you dig for something, you'd better be ready for what crawls out. But this time, I wasn't digging. I was collecting evidence. Bottom drawer. Her private stash. I found it. An envelope with Polaroids. Of them. Together. Smiling. Not the kind that scream lust. No. These were worse. They screamed intimacy. One showed her laughing at something off camera, her hand on his chest like he was her husband and not her, whatever he was. Another showed her wearing my college hoodie. My hoodie. The one she used to sleep in when she missed me. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was quiet. It was in the softness of those smiles. In the way she tilted her head against him like she had with me, once upon a time. That's when I knew. She wasn't just cheating. She was replacing me. Auditioning someone for the role I used to play. And I was being written off. So I made my move. I went into the attic and pulled out an old box labeled, "Don't Touch, Ashley's Keepsakes." Guess what was inside? Love letters. Not from me. From someone before me. Dated during the time she swore she was single. Romantic fiction she had written, starring her and Chase. Yeah, that Chase. Same name as the guy with my watch. Turns out this wasn't a new flame. It was an old one. Rekindled. Suddenly, it all made sense. The emotional shift. The way she talked about him like he was this great mentor. The watch, the dates, the secrecy. She didn't just fall into something. She'd been planning this. Maybe not consciously. But some part of her had always wanted to go back to him. And I had been the long, convenient intermission. So I packed the box, taped it up, and labeled it. Return to sender. I wasn't angry. Not in the scream at the sky kind of way. I was focused. And my next step? Let's just say Chase Donovan has no idea what's coming. And Ashley? She's about to learn that the man she thought was just a stable, predictable husband has perfect timing. Some men yell when they're betrayed. Some get drunk. Some punch drywall like the wall's the one that flirted with their wife. Me? I went to Staples and bought folders. I know, not the explosive kind of revenge people expect. But there's a quiet power in paperwork. That's how kings fall, through documents, not daggers. I labeled the first folder Chase Donovan, personal. Inside, I slid everything I'd gathered so far. Screenshots, photos, text logs, the whole digital trail. Ashley's calendar entries matched his. Her emails mentioned creative retreats and off-site strategy meetings. On weekends they were just friends hanging out. I knew Chase's type. Confident. Lazy with it. A man who thinks he's clever because no one's called his bluff yet. He wore cologne that cost more than my suit and used the word synergy without gagging. His LinkedIn profile looked like it was curated by a PR firm run by narcissists. A walking corporate brochure with abs. But what he didn't have? Me. Because while he was busy taking my wife to overpriced brunches, I was making phone calls to his ex, his boss, and his mortgage lender. Turns out, Chase had a few skeletons of his own. Divorced twice. Filed Chapter 13 back in 2019. Oh, and he was one HR complaint away from a pink slip. Seems our boy had a habit of calling junior staff sweetheart and princess in meetings. Real progressive guy. That weekend, Ashley and I went to a couple's dinner. She suggested it. It might be nice to see Mark and Jenna again, she said, swirling her wine at the breakfast bar like it was a potion and not fermented grapes from Trader Joe's. I nodded. Sure. Let's make it memorable. She didn't catch the tone. Of course she didn't. At dinner, I played the husband role like a man auditioning for a role he didn't want but was overqualified for. Laughed in all the right spots. Touched her knee under the table. Told the story of how we met, embellishing just enough to sound nostalgic. Ashley beamed. Chase? He was there too. Oh, not in person, but in spirit. She checked her phone 5 times in 20 minutes. Smiled at nothing. Once, she even laughed under her breath like a memory had slipped through her defenses. Mark leaned over and whispered, "You two still seem so solid. Wish Jenna and I had what you guys have." I nearly choked on my Cabernet. That night, when we got home, Ashley kissed me goodnight and went upstairs. I lingered in the kitchen. Pulled out folder number 2. Ashley, legal. Inside was the start of a plan. I wasn't going to beg. Or scream. Or ask, why, while she lied through her teeth. No, I was going to walk away with my dignity, my assets, and, if things went right, a little something extra. I met with my lawyer the next morning. Told him everything. Well, he said, flipping through the folder with the calm of a man who's seen worse, we've got something here. I don't just want a divorce, I said. I want positioning. He leaned back, hands folded. Talk to me. I want her out. I want the house. I want financial leverage. And I want to burn every bridge between her and Chase without laying a hand on either of them. He chuckled. That last part's tricky. I didn't say it had to be clean. I just said it has to be legal. By Monday, we'd filed for divorce quietly. No screaming match. No drama. Just paperwork. Ashley was stunned. She came home that evening, dropped her keys in the bowl, and saw the envelope on the table. She picked it up, flipped it over, and frowned. What's this? Read it. She opened it. Slowly. Like it might bite. A pause. Then a breathless, "You're divorcing me?" "I am." Her face flickered. 1,000 things danced behind her eyes, confusion, anger, guilt, and something colder, fear. But why now? I smiled, and I swear it was the calmest smile I'd ever worn. Because I've timed it. She blinked. What? I've timed it so that the date of filing falls 2 weeks before your firm's fiscal year end. You know, the one where bonuses and promotions get locked in. You've been spending more hours with Chase than with your team. HR's noticed. So has legal. She stared at me like I'd grown horns. You wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Let them know how close you two really are? That your mentorship overlaps with multiple late-night transactions? It's public knowledge now. HR just needed the nudge. Chase is already under review. She sat down, hard. You did this on purpose. I learned from the best. The next morning, I sent Chase his own little care package. Printed screenshots. Photos. A copy of the internal ethics complaint now sitting on his manager's desk. Oh, and a friendly note. She wore it better. L? I dropped it off myself. Watched the receptionist log it in. By Thursday, Chase was suspended. By Friday, Ashley's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. She came into the kitchen that evening, pale as chalk. What did you do? She asked. I was slicing an apple. Didn't even look up. I stopped being your alibi. That night, I packed my bags. Just a weekend trip, I told her. Where are you going? She asked, arms crossed like she still had a say. To breathe, I said. Something you've been doing behind my back for months. She didn't speak. I grabbed the last bag, paused at the door, and turned back. Enjoy the watch. And I walked out. I didn't go far that weekend. Just a modest cabin upstate, a place with no Wi-Fi, no cable, and no Chase Donovan smirking through my wife's phone screen. The kind of silence that lets you hear your own thoughts breathe. I brought 3 things with me: a black notebook, a bottle of bourbon I'd been saving for a special occasion, and the folder marked Final Phase. That one had no paper in it, yet. But by the time I left, it would. I spent that first night sitting on the porch as the wind moved through the trees, thinking about all the versions of me Ashley had seen over the years. The reliable one. The romantic one. The one who cried the day I proposed because I couldn't imagine loving anyone else like that again. And then I thought about the version she made room for. Chase Donovan. The guy who thought cufflinks and cologne made him a man. The guy who now had no job, no promotion, and no convenient work wife to boost his image around the office. I wasn't proud of it, but I was satisfied. When I got back on Sunday, Ashley was gone. She left a note on the counter like we were roommates breaking up over a lease. Logan. I'm sorry. I didn't expect it to happen this way. I just needed something I couldn't find in us anymore. I never meant to hurt you. She signed it with her name. Just her name. No love. No closure. No acknowledgement that she had detonated our marriage like it was a paper lantern. I read the note once, folded it, and dropped it into the trash. Then I went upstairs and opened the last drawer in her nightstand. She hadn't taken the framed photo of us from our honeymoon. Probably didn't even notice it. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I missed it, but because I wanted to remember the version of myself that still believed in it. Then I opened the black notebook. The next week was execution. I canceled her access to the shared accounts. Not out of cruelty, but because she'd been quietly transferring money from our joint savings for 3 months. I'd already preemptively changed the passwords and notified the bank. When she called in to dispute it, they informed her the joint account had been officially dissolved under pending divorce. She texted me one word. Really? I didn't respond. Some silences are louder than revenge. Then came the car. I had leased our second car in my name, technically her car. So I called the dealership and reclaimed it. Left her with the old sedan. No Bluetooth, no backup camera. Just a cracked air vent and a judgmental rattle in the engine that said, "You really messed this up, huh?" I wasn't trying to ruin her life. Just reset the scoreboard. 3 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it ring, then ring again. Finally, I answered. Logan, a familiar voice said, tight with frustration. It's Chase. Of course it was. I didn't say a word. He cleared his throat like he was on a sales call. Listen, man, I don't know what kind of vendetta you're on, but whatever you think you accomplished, it's childish. You went nuclear because your wife left you. I smiled. Not a happy smile. More like the one you wear when someone rear-ends you and then honks at you. She didn't leave me, Chase. She vacated. Like a lease expired. He scoffed. Look, I know you're hurting, but this. Chase, I interrupted. You wore my watch. He hesitated. What? You didn't buy that watch. You didn't research it for a month. You didn't hand it to her in a little box while she cried. That watch had meaning, until it ended up on your wrist like a party favor. There was silence on his end. I imagined him blinking hard, trying to pivot. I didn't know it was yours, he said finally. No, but she did. That's worse. He exhaled into the phone, the sound of a man losing control of a script he thought he'd written. You're not the only one she lied to, he muttered. I let that hang in the air. Then I said, you should get tested. And I hung up. That night, I packed Ashley's remaining things into 3 neat boxes and left them at her sister's place. Inside the top one, I placed a single item, the rose gold watch. Still ticking. Attached was a note. Give this to whoever she ends up with next. It runs well, but it stops when you aren't looking. It's strange how grief works. People think it hits you all at once, like a tidal wave that leaves you soaked in sadness. But it's not like that. It's slower, quieter, like an echo in an empty room that keeps getting softer until you realize you're finally hearing your own voice again. That's where I am now. Not healed, not broken, just clear. Ashley and I had a story, and it ended. Not with a fight, not with a scream, but with a watch, and a man who finally remembered who he was without her. There's a strange silence that fills a house when you finally stop pretending. It doesn't come all at once. It creeps in like a fog. First, you notice the absence of footsteps in the hallway. Then you realize there's no second toothbrush, no half-empty mug on the counter. Then, one morning, you hear yourself breathing and realize you're the only one who ever listened to it in the first place. That was my house now. Just me. And a memory I was slowly unfurnishing, piece by piece. Ashley had moved in with a friend. Or maybe with Chase. I didn't ask. Didn't need to. Whatever comfort she thought she had, it wasn't stability. It wasn't truth. It certainly wasn't me. She sent one more message that week. I know you hate me. I deserve it. I just hope one day you'll understand that I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't want to be unhappy anymore. I stared at that message for a while, then deleted it. She didn't want to be unhappy, so she left. I didn't want to be unhappy either, so I let her. The divorce finalized 2 months later. Fast-track filing. We didn't fight over the house. I kept it. She didn't argue. She was too busy rebuilding her public image, probably realizing her affair had cost her more than a few Instagram likes. I gave her the nicer couch. Let her keep the Loot Cruiset set. I wasn't trying to punish her with stuff. I'd already taken the one thing that mattered most. Her illusion of control. The legal agreement included a clause she didn't expect. Non-disclosure regarding the professional misconduct claim filed at her workplace. She'd have to remain quiet about what happened if she wanted her severance to stay untouched. I wasn't just protecting myself. I was ensuring she didn't rewrite the story in her favor. If people asked what happened, she could say, it didn't work out. That was fine. But if she ever tried to cast herself as the victim, that clause would snap shut like a mousetrap. Reputation is a funny thing. So as karma point 2 weeks after the paperwork was finalized, I got a small padded envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, the watch. The same one I had given her. The same one I'd seen on Chase's wrist. It was cleaned. Wiped to prints. Band rebuckled. And a note. I'm sorry. That was it. No signature. No long message. No phone call afterward. It wasn't an apology, it was a flag. A little white square that said, you won. But this was never about winning. It was about remembering who I was before she made me forget. I took the watch, walked out to the edge of the cliff trail by my house, and hurled it into the ocean. Not in anger, in relief. Because I didn't need a reminder of what time had taken. 6 months later, I was sitting at my usual cafe, sipping my usual black coffee, reading the news on my phone. And in walked a woman. Not Ashley. Not anyone like her. This one had reading glasses, messy hair, and a tote bag filled with paperbacks. She ordered tea, paid in cash, sat at the table across from me, and cracked open a book like the world wasn't rushing around her. We locked eyes once, just briefly, and for the first time in a long while, I felt nothing dragging behind me. No wait, no watch. She smiled. I smiled back. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't ruining someone else's life. It's refusing to let them live in yours. And in the end, Ashley gave me a gift. A cruel one, but a gift. She reminded me that love built on illusion is no love at all. She showed me how quickly trust can be traded for attention. How some people aren't looking for loyalty, they're looking for novelty. Until novelty gets tired. And she taught me one last lesson. If someone can betray you while wearing the gift you gave them, then they were never keeping time with you to begin with.